So here is a picture of Agnes Boyajiu, the future Mother Teresa. So when she was 18 years old, she left Albania by boat to go to Ireland, and she wrote a letter to her family back home. Pray for your missionary that Jesus may help her save as many immortal souls as possible from the darkness of unbelief. So Mother Teresa had experienced the light of Jesus, so that means peace and joy. But as she grew, she herself progressively started experiencing more darkness. For 20 years, she was exceedingly happy as a Loreto sister. She was a teaching sister. But then Jesus gave her a new calling. He asked her to serve the poorest of the poor, and he said, "Come, come, carry me into the holes of the poor. Come, be my light." So as she was saving other people, and she was giving them spiritual light, her spiritual darkness just kept on increasing. And later she wrote, "Since 1949, this untold darkness, this loneliness gives me that pain deep down. There is no God in me. When the pain of longing is so great, I just long and long for God. And then it is that I feel He does not want me. He is not there. The torture and pain I can't explain." And lastly, she said once, "If I ever become a saint, I will surely be one of darkness. I will continually light the light of those in darkness on earth." We're going to explain more about this later, but this is not depression. This is not burnout, and she's not spiritually far from God. This is a normal stage of purification, where you no longer feel close to God, but you are. And Jesus went through this on the cross. He felt abandoned by God the Father, even though the Father was always with him. So the question I'd like to ask all of us is, would we be willing to go through this level of spiritual darkness if it meant we could bring light to other people? Yes, that's good. Okay, I'll take it. I wasn't expecting that. I thought a lot of us would just say, "Can I have a little darkness?" Just, okay. Now the first reading says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. Nations shall come to your light, they come to you. Then you shall see and be radiant. Your heart shall thrill and rejoice." This text is from the prophet Isaiah, at least 500 years before the time of Jesus, but it refers to him. So he's the light of the world. And non-Jewish people like us, we go to him to find light, meaning, happiness. Now, sometimes Jesus' light is very gentle. Other times it's overwhelming. It's very gentle. For example, we feel loved. That's a gentle light. You feel you're good. Your life has meaning. You start seeing, wow, things are working out in life. My suffering, there's a purpose. That's a very gentle, beautiful light. Now, other times, his light overwhelms us. So let's just think about this one, because this is the key part to understanding what Mother Teresa went through and what eventually all of us hopefully will go through. Why do we sometimes cry during weddings? And I'm talking about happy weddings. Why do we sometimes cry during weddings? We've got to think about this. You're so happy and people are crying. Has that happened to you? We've got to dig into this. You're super happy and you're crying. And the answer is because you're overwhelmed with happiness. It's just too much to handle. So the same thing happens, like someone finally says to you that they love you and you start crying. It's like, wow. Or they give you a gift, or you work really hard for something and you finally win a championship and you start crying. You're so happy. I saw a few years ago these grown men crying when Luke Skywalker returned. It's hilarious. Grown men crying. A fictional character comes back after 40 years and they're crying. St. John of the Cross, he says, when God's light shines brightly in our soul, when it shines really brightly, we experience it as darkness. It's like looking at the sun. If you look at the sun, momentarily you're blinded. So this is what was happening to St. Mother Teresa. God's light was shining so bright in her, more than it is in us. So much, she can't handle it. Why? Because she still has a lot of small sins. Now, of course, she's not far from God. Everyone who met her, they said, I met Mother Teresa, I felt like I was meeting God because God was with her. But for her soul, she experienced it as darkness. Now, here's a beautiful truth. Jesus adapts his light to us. He's gentle with those who need gentleness. He's stronger for those who are ready. The gospel says, in the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage. We've mentioned in previous homilies, everyone at that time could see the star. It's visible to everyone. So God sends a small, gentle light in the sky to respect people's freedom. If people don't want to respond to the light, he respects that. But those wise men, they're hungry. They see the light and they respond. They want to meet the Savior of the world. They don't know him, but they want more. And so they interrupt their lives, and presumably it's a 2-month journey there and back because they're so hungry to meet him. They set out, and there ahead of them went the star until it stopped over the place where the child was. They were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. When we first meet Jesus, it's usually very happy because he makes our life better. But then a time comes when he wants to give us more, and he starts changing the way he loves us. So St. John of the Cross uses this image. God first nurtures and caresses the soul like a loving mother who nurses it with good milk and carries it in her arms. But as the child grows older, the mother withholds her caresses and sets the child down from her arms, letting it walk on its own feet so that it may put aside the habits of childhood and grow accustomed to greater things. This is another explanation for spiritual darkness. When we first meet Jesus, we start enjoying like adoration. Feels good, feel good, like the spiritual high. You go to confession, feel renewed. Or you go to Alpha, wow, faith studies, everything's on fire. And then you want to serve Jesus more. You start sacrificing your life for him. You start serving other people, and God purposely takes away the consolation. Because if he doesn't, you don't mature. Your love will always be based on feelings. So at the beginning of this new year, God is shining a beautiful light for all of us and a light for those we love. He always wants to give more because that's who he is. He wants this year to be the best ever. Now, as we've done in past years, could we pull out these cards, please? The 1102 cards, please. You've got them in your pews. Thank you, everyone. So we call them 1102. We've been doing this for years, and for the past few years, we always do it on Epiphany, near the beginning of the year. It's called 1102 because Jesus, in Luke chapter 11, verse 2, the disciples ask Jesus how to pray, and he teaches them the Our Father. So what we're going to do is, if you would like, we can write down the names of people we know who have not yet met Jesus. And we write their names down. And every day at 11:02 a.m. or p.m., we pray for them. And then when you come up during communion for a blessing or to receive communion, you put the card in that basket. Just drop it off there, please, and then you can come up for communion. And then the basket goes underneath the altar so that every time we offer Mass, we're praying for these names that we write down. And of course, you have to write the names down or you've got to remember them. Otherwise, you will forget. So we can do this after the homily. Father Larry Richards has a funny story. During his first week teaching at a Catholic high school, he had one student, 17 years old, named Justin Fatika. And this student had his feet on the desk in front of him, and he had his hands behind his back with his feet up. And Father Larry shouted at him, "Get your feet off the desk." And Justin says, "You say please." So Father Larry literally, he threw him out of the classroom. And for the next short while, they were insulting each other. Until Father Larry started organizing a retreat. And during prayer, apparently, God said to Father Larry, "I want you to invite Justin to the retreat." And Father Larry said, "I can't stand him, God." So he resisted for 5 days until he finally asked. He said, "Fatika, you want to come to the retreat?" He declined, but then he showed up. And he had such a powerful encounter with Jesus that he became a full-time youth minister and a full-time Catholic speaker. He's very popular in the US. Now, the point of that story is that Father Larry says he always writes down the names of his enemies, and then he prays for them, and then he looks for an opportunity to invite them. So, on our 1102 prayer cards, we might think about writing down the names of people who hurt us or bother us. I better not see my name on those cards. Okay. Now, as suggested in the past, let's focus in general on inviting people to Alpha. I would suggest not inviting them to Mass, because the spiritual light of Mass, for some people, it's too much. That's how it was for me. When I was a teenager, come to Mass, 13 years old, I don't get it. You should know that most people don't have a conversion to Jesus during Mass. There are 3 occasions when we do: adoration, confession, and when someone prays with us. So just like we don't want so much of God's light in our life that it's going to overwhelm us, like Mother Teresa. So for those people we love, probably the best place for them to meet Jesus is at Alpha. It's very warm, good food, good video, and then the conversation. This year's Alpha is on March 26th, so we can keep that in mind. Let's respond as best we can to Jesus' invitation, "Come, be my light."